All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning, and of course, good afternoon. I have to say, actually, for everybody in Brunei, good morning, actually, for some of our participants here, and of course, our speaker, Greta, who is operating as far as Italy. Just want to quickly introduce myself. I'm Afiq Moahmmed. I'm one of the co-founders of YSEALI Sharing A Vision. Before I want to start the whole session, I want to give us at least a minute, a moment of silence for those that has passed during the unfortunate event of 9/11, and of course for those that has passed during this pandemic. So let's give it a bit of moment. All right, good morning, everyone. And again, once again, good afternoon to all in Brunei. I want to quickly, before I start the whole session, I have quite a few housekeeping rules for everybody. Just want to inform all of you that this event is recorded, and we will also be reminding everybody to keep yourself on mute, just so that we could hear all the speakers clearly, and giving this opportunity for everyone to hear it properly. I also want to inform everybody that if you guys have any inquiries, just drop it on the chat box. We like to hear it from all of you as well. So very keen to hear it from all of you guys as well. So before we start the session, I have one more thing I want to do as well. We'd like to invite the ambassador. Actually, he has a few comments to share on. So my colleague will be putting that up. I believe Jim, it's on mute.
Hello, YSEALI. My name is Jeff Barris, and I'm the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Brunei Darussalam. The U.S. Embassy is proud to support YSEALI's Sharing A Vision program. Last December, I helped launch the first webinar in this series, and today I'm proud to kick off the final webinar. Thank you and congratulations to the organizing team of YSEALI Sharing A Vision, led by Afiq Moahmmed. This program has invited leading professionals from different industries to share their experiences and challenges, especially during the ongoing global pandemic. This final webinar will focus on the environment. I urge you to draw upon past experiences, what you've learned throughout the webinars, and your own passion and commitment to make a difference in our world. And share your experiences and commitment with friends, family, and colleagues. The more dedicated people we have, the better. Before I conclude, please don't forget to share your webinar takeaways on your social media and to tag us at US Embassy BSB and at YSEALI_official. Happy learning, everyone.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I guess excited. If you guys are excited, please give me a thumbs up. All right, I can see quite a few reactions right there. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting day this morning, right? But I want to do one last exercise before we start the whole session. I know some of you guys might be shy, but we'd like to have everyone to switch on their cameras. We'll do a quick photo op before we start the whole event, all right? So switch on your cameras, guys. If you guys are shy, let's switch that off for a bit. Okay, so my colleague is going to take a quick photo. We're going to do that. I see a lot of faces now. That's good. Karifu, happy faces. Smile, everybody. We'll wait for, let me see. Okay, more are popping up. Let's give that a minute. Okay. I see a lot of faces. Thanks, guys. This is really great. Okay, cool. All right. So with that, Jim, are you gonna do the honors? You might need to give me a countdown, Jim.
All right. Smile at 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Smile. All right.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jim. Okay, so we're gonna go into the depth of the whole discussion for the day. It's basically about mental health awareness. And of course, this is actually part of the YSEALI Sharing a Vision project. Very happy to be here. And of course, this is, we've been running this whole event since last year, actually. And this is one of the few topics that we felt very important to touch upon. So we wanna hear it from all of you as well. Okay, so let me quickly do a quick round of introduction of what is YSEALI Sharing a Vision. And at the same time, I'm gonna introduce the speakers. Okay, so very exciting stuff, everybody. So today, basically YSEALI Sharing a Vision is a project under the US Embassy. I'm an alumni of the YSEALI Pro Fellow, and my colleagues are also alumni of the YSEALI Pro Fellow and Academic as well. And some of them also participate in the program. So if you guys have any inquiries about that, you guys can always ask us. And there's quite a few programs initiated by the US Embassy across ASEAN. So YSEALI Sharing a Vision, for those of you that may not know about it yet, it's a program supported by the embassy with the premise on supporting inspiring leaders within YSEALI and our associated network. We create this platform to share the expertise and, of course, having to connect a lot of people as well beyond the network. There are two parts of this series. The first component is the YSEALI Sharing a Vision Connect, which is a webinar, which is the one that you guys are on right now. And there is also an on-site event, which is called the YSEALI Sharing a Vision Exploration. Again, because of the unfortunate pandemic, and of course, we have to work from home. That's okay, we have to adjust it anyways, but we will have it tomorrow as well for those that have signed up for it. We want to thank you again for all your support, which brings this wonderful idea in sharing a vision to the youths across Southeast Asia and beyond. Without further ado, we should get right into the topic for today. So just to share with all of you guys again, if you guys have any inquiries, just pop it up on the chat box. We want to hear it from you, and let's get into the conversation. So yeah, basically, according to the CDC government, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a major effect on our lives. Many of us are facing challenges that can be stressful, overwhelming, and can cause strong emotions in adults and children. You see, public health actions such as social distancing are necessary to reduce the spread of COVID-19, but they can also make us feel isolated, lonely, and can increase stress and anxiety. So learning to cope with stress in a healthy way will make you, the people you care about, and those around you become more resilient. The most important component of mental health awareness and well-being comprised for all members, including frontliners, who may not be able to meet their family during this time of need. Children are forced to adapt to virtual learning and may not be able to socialize like how they are used to. During this session, we will learn in depth on the various perspectives of the mental health awareness during the pandemic across ASEAN, during the professional and at households. So best practices that our audience can also use for yourself, basically, and also for how you could use it to help the people around you. So for today, we have quite a few diverse speakers from different countries and with different missions as well. I want to quickly introduce, basically, let's get into the heart of our conversation. We have Mizi Rahman from Brunei Darussalam, who is one of the directors of Cope for Hope Brunei. If you guys have not followed them on Instagram, do follow them. We also have Greta Rossi from Italy, co-founder of recipesforwellbeing.org. Very happy to have you. And just to let you guys know, it's morning, yeah, in Italy, 6:45, now 7. And of course, we have Mansoura Azlan, from Brunei Darussalam, one of course, the directors of Cope for Hope Brunei. But with that, I want to quickly give themselves a quick round of introductions. Let's start with Mizi first. You can introduce yourself.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to Greta. So my name is Mizi Rahman. I'm from representing Cope for Hope, the internal director, which advocates for mental health. But my full-time work consists of, my experiences also consist of being a social work under the Department of Community Development, in which I was the under unit of family, women, and children. So I've dealt with issues with abuse cases, abandonment issues, and also children that are beyond parental control. So right now I'm a teacher. So basically I just teach, but as you know, the pandemic happens. All of us had to transition to the online learning and teaching. So yeah, that's pretty much about it about me.
Thank you very much, Mizi, and very interesting stuff right there. Let's keep it for a bit and let's have Greta to share.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Greta. Really happy to be with you. I won't say much more than I'm the co-founder of Recipes for Wellbeing, which is a not-for-profit association based in Switzerland, but I live in Italy. And we support change makers, social entrepreneurs, activists to hopefully avoid burnout so that they can thrive in their social and environmental work. So really passionate about this topic, really happy to be with you. And also maybe a kind request, if you are courageous enough and want to turn your webcam on, please do so. It's always nicer to talk to people rather than just like names. So feel free to turn the video on. It'd be great to see your faces. Yay, I see some people.
Thank you very much for the reminder, Greta. And of course, everybody, if you guys would be open to switch on your cam, would be happy to get connected with all of you. All right, last but not least, let's have Surah to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Surah. So with Mizi, we co-founded with our colleague last year, Hazira, Cope for Hope. So it's basically an NGO where we promote mental health awareness, mental health services in Brunei, sort of guiding those who seek help. But by day, I'm also, I work in the mental health field in the public sector. So talking to those with anxiety, depression, stress, and recently there's been a lot of it because of the whole COVID-19 pandemic, and not just to patients, but to ourselves as well, because as you can imagine, as a healthcare worker, things are really chaotic, really busy, but I'm happy to be here to talk to everyone.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Surah. And of course, thank you very much again to all of the speakers here today. Again, I want to quickly remind everybody, if you guys have any inquiries, just pop it up in the chat. We're very happy to answer all of them, yeah? So we're going to keep it very light. If you guys do not have your coffee or tea next to you, or even just a water, or I think in this case for Greta, in this case, cereals, right? For morning breakfast or oatmeals, please do so. We're going to keep it very exciting here, right? So let's talk about it. Again, the topic is very heavy, but at the same time, we could make sure that we can also learn and benefit out of it. So lack of social interaction, constraints on physical movement and social activity due to the quarantine and sudden radical lifestyle changes can cause a major effect or impact on one's mental health. They may lose motivation and they may develop anxiety due to the uncertainty. So again, different countries have different set of notions or rules, right? Because of the whole pandemic. So before we go into the depth, I want to give this opportunity to Mizi, actually. He will be sharing mostly on the insights of youth, students, and of course men. But again, feel free to share more. Again, we are very open to hear about perspectives here. So let's talk about before we talk about the whole aspects of it. So I think want to share, giving this opportunity to all of the speakers to share about the current situation of the pandemic in your local community. So perhaps Mizi, perhaps you'd like to share more about how it is, again, in Brunei, although we live in Brunei, but we still would love to hear it from you in the perspective of as an educator and change maker.
Okay, thank you, Afiq. So from the perspective of an educator, just like everywhere else in the world, all schools around the world are being closed down because of the pandemic. So because of this, everything has moved to online teaching and learning. And currently in Brunei, with the current number, which is keep on rising, I personally do not foresee the school being open anytime soon. So the online teaching and learning will most probably will continue for the rest of the school year. And yeah, I suppose in terms of that, as an educator, this is the part where we need to adapt, both for the students and also for the educators alike, on the transition to online learning. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mizi. And I'll hold Greta for a bit for a while. Let's hear it from Surah. What are your thoughts on the whole occasion, and of course the frontliner side? And yeah, I think since you'd be more in this expertise in this.
I think in terms of sort of frontliners and healthcare workers, yeah, as I said, different healthcare workers are sort of being deployed to different sort of swab clinics, hospitals, isolation centers, and this goes out to like different healthcare workers, not just doctors and nurses, but sort of dietitians, psychologists as well. Even though we technically don't have any experience with swabbing and everything, but we sort of help out. Even sort of the private practices, the retired doctors and nurses are all being sort of pulled to sort of help out the community in Brunei right now. And it's scary being in the front line, but that's why we have to have sort of swab tests every few weeks, sometimes every 1 week if we're really exposed, and it's really unpleasant. Let's just say that. But yeah, we're very sort of careful with sort of the PPE and everything. And we're really glad with the support that the public has given us in terms of helping out with donations and volunteers, especially. So yeah, right now, we don't really have any expectations on how the pandemic, when will it end, how will it turn out, but we're just hoping for the best at the moment.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Surah. And it's really good, right? So what's going to happen is that it brings back the community to support the community, right? So it's a really nice point there. So hearing that basically this pandemic, no one expected it, and we have to relearn how to, of course, how to do a proper swab test. And for some that has to do it every week, that's a bit unfortunate. Again, it's a bit, I've not done my swab, but I've done my shots already. So just to share with all of you guys, yeah. But yeah, I want to hear it from Greta. How is it in Italy? How is the situation?
Thank you for asking, and really fascinating to hear about Brunei. Here the situation is fairly stable, I would say. Schools are supposed to actually open on Monday, so coming up very soon. Now, I would say the political debate is quite heated because we have this at the European level, this digital health pass, which allows you to access indoor venues or concerts or other places. And now in Italy, they're making it mandatory for teachers and other workers. So as you can imagine, it's quite heated. But overall, things seems to be okay, but again, fall is coming, autumn is coming, and so we're expecting potentially cases to rise again. So we'll see if the vaccinations can hold. Yeah, I think that's about it from Italy.
Awesome. I think that's really good insight. And that's a really cool point that basically on the digital health pass, I think that's something that perhaps in ASEAN, I think that's a lot of the countries here is trying to work towards as well. We have instead passports, and I think, I mean, our travel passports, we can't even use it at this moment. So a bit unfortunate, but I guess backgrounds on the Zoom works for now, right? Okay, so let's go into the depth of the conversation. Okay, so this question would be mostly posed for, I think, again, anyone could jump in for this, but I want to chime in for Mizi and your thoughts for this, yeah? So what are your thoughts on the impact of COVID-19 on the mental health and quality of life? I think in this case for youth, students, and I think during this demographic for men. Let's talk about that actually. So let's start about with students first.
For students, I would say that given with the sudden closure of schools, it didn't prepare them for anything. I mean, it just happened, especially in Brunei. So on Saturday, you started off school like normal, and then suddenly Monday, this happened, everything went viral, this and that. And then school closure. So yeah, kids, especially children, they won't know much because most of the time it'll be the parents that knows more of what's happening around. So I'm more concerned on the mental health of the students because of this sudden change, and also how they think that learning will continue to happen because they're not allowed to go to school and they're at home. Yes, there's an online learning, but not everyone has access to online learning as well, because some students, children do not have the right technology, or also don't have access to internet. So there are limitations to online teaching and learning. So because of that, I feel like some students may feel like they get left behind more, and some may feel left out. And because of the lack of real life socialization, some of them may feel lonely as well. So yeah, all of these factors could have a mental health effect to them. So yeah, that's one of my concerns on the students. As for the male part, and I suppose under the context of Southeast Asian male, there's a belief that the trait of masculinity, that we need to be tough, stoic, and not show any kind of emotions. But yeah, at this unpredictable time, I think it's okay to, I mean, of course, it's always okay to show emotions. It's just that we need, as male, we need to communicate more, especially when we're being socially isolated now and everyone's staying at their home. So communicate more, whether through WhatsApp or any other social medias or even Zoom. Talk more if you feel like you need help. I mean, there's also the helplines available. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the overall idea on what I have on the impacts of mental health to men and children as well.
Awesome. I think again, feel free to share your thoughts as well. Yeah, Greta and Surah on this topic as well. So again, we're looking at various demographic. We're not just being specific to any one demographic. So I think, yeah, let's hear it from Greta. What are your thoughts? So how do you think the pandemic in general affects our mental health? And yeah, what do you think would be the best practices that you can share? What are the recipes?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So of course, this is the first pandemic for everyone. So I will speak mostly from my experience working with change makers. And actually, Surah, I know that you're a psychologist. So what I'm going to say, hopefully can give you more context. I wanted to actually look at what is happening in our brain, because I think it really helps us to understand, okay, why are we experiencing these thoughts and emotions? And I'm going to oversimplify what neuroscience tells us, but in a very simple manner. Our brain has basically two modes. One is called the green or responsive mode. The other one is called the red or reactive mode. So when we are safe, when we feel connected, when we feel valued, our brain is in the responsive mode. So this is when we can relax, we feel accomplished, we feel content, we can replenish our energies, we can recuperate. And this actually is the default mode. So most of the time, our brain should be in this green mode. But of course, there are sometimes dangers or obstacles, and that's when we switch to the red or the reactive mode. This is when we become alerted because we have to survive in a way, right? So this is critical to survival. However, what happens is that this is also energy draining. We cannot sustain it for a long time. And if actually it is sustained in the long term, it will harm our well-being, our mental health. And so what we're seeing is that with the pandemic, but also in the society we live in a consumer capitalist society where we have to do more, faster, bigger, constant notification, negative news. Now you have the pandemic with the lockdown, the restrictions, and online this and online that, and news about people dying. Our brain is triggered to always be in that red zone, which is not healthy because we're asking to do it for a long time. So it's like we're running a marathon without ever being able to stop and breathe. So this is why I think the pandemic is affecting our mental health and well-being so much, right? In terms of activities, there's so many that I can share. So I don't know in how much detail you allow me to go, but I will share also a link to a blog post we wrote last year, sharing a few of our recipes, and we call recipes activities to foster individual and team well-being, mental well-being, spiritual, emotional, and physical. And we selected a few specific that are good for COVID. So I just posted the link in the chat. And I'm happy to share more in a moment, but maybe also we want to hear from Surah on her perspective.
Yep.
Yes, thank you, Greta, so much. What you said is it's completely true. It's exactly so. Evolutionarily, for survival, we have this sort of fight or flight mode. So that's how humans have survived like these millions and millions of years. So when there's the danger, like Greta said, we turn the sort of fight or flight mode. So that's when our adrenaline kicks in, and we just have to fight to survive. So with sort of the danger of this pandemic, this danger of knowing we could contract COVID, our bodies just start going like the nerves just fire towards each other, and you're constantly thinking, okay, if I go out, am I doing this? Am I doing that? Am I increasing my risk? Am I safe right now? And when your brain is just constantly having these thoughts run inside your head, and your body is just on the edge all the time, feeling tense, it really takes a toll on your nervous system, on your heart, on your brain. And this is seen in multiple studies, even with kids who are abused. They oftentimes, when they see sort of the danger, it changes the structure of their brain because they're so tense and so alert all the time. And this is sort of the same thing with COVID as well, because we're so scared, we're so worried, and it really doesn't help that one of the sort of the common symptoms of an anxiety attack is sort of difficulty breathing and chills and like a really fast heartbeat. So this further exacerbates people's like worries and thoughts, because they're going to think, oh my gosh, do I have COVID? Why do I have these symptoms? So it's just really a never-ending cycle of not feeling well and overthinking, and not feeling well and overthinking. And yeah, so you sort of have to be mindful of what is going on in our body, check in sometimes with our body, thinking, okay, how do I feel like? Am I breathing all right? Do I have to slow things down, eat, get some sleep? So now more than ever, mindfulness and checking in with yourself is really important.
Awesome. I think that's a really good point, Surah, and thank you, Greta, as well, for sharing a really good insight. Talking about the brain, right? I think that's the first thing that we have to assess first. What is going on in our head? So what I've gathered essentially is that basically we have green and red basically zones. Yeah. So what green basically it means that we're responsive. Again, we're very relaxed, right? So green is the zone that we want to stay in. Whereas for red, we start to become reactive. That's the zone we cannot avoid it. We have to switch it on and off. But how long you stay in the red zone, again, it depends on how you utilize it. For some people, I think for athletes, right, this would be a very useful timing. Like we want to make sure that we run and we're staying focused. It would be used to a benefit, but at the same time, again, it could also be, if you switch it on for too long, it's gonna wear yourself out, right? And again, during the whole pandemic, it's something that we're always being cautious. We're always wearing masks. We're always being careful going around. Something for us to take note of. I also want to quickly highlight, I think Mizi shared a really good point. I just listed down here. So don't worry too much, everybody. I got some notes here. Something that we have observed as well for the students is that it's not just the students that are that should be, that we should be concerned of. It's also the parents. Again, parents are also earning. They're also, earning a living for the family as well. So it may be disrupted, right, over time. And students have to adapt to learning online. And I think something to share with the, I guess, for the perspective of the men is that, yes, we can be tough, but at the same time, now isn't really a suitable time for us to, just be stoic. We also have to share our thoughts as well. Okay, so we have quite a few questions in the chat here, and I think really thanks everybody for giving your points, and of course for all the participants as well. Thank you for your questions. Just to let you guys know, later on before we close the session, we will have 5 minutes with Greta to share a bit of a well-being activity. So hope you guys can stay tuned for that. So, all right, let me just browse through the chat. I think quite a few points here. So Azim Putra, he says, speaking of a recent experience, last week was the moment when I realized that I had been in the reactive mode in the past 2-3 weeks. Yeah, that's a really good point, right? Since the second wave hit Brunei, the moment I recognized I was burning out was the moment when I felt a lot better with my well-being. So sometimes it takes very simple things like this to realize that, okay, I feel like I need a bit of a break. I've been working and staying on the screen for too long. So yeah, take some time off. Nazato here shared a really good point. Thank you, Greta, for the link and Surah for the breakdown. Well done, guys. Neural connections and chemical change over time when we are constantly in the red zone. That's why change is so difficult for a lot of people. Yes, I understand. And I think all of us are trying to adapt the whole working from home, and you can't even buy groceries easily anyways now, right? It's so tough. Have it delivered to your house. Okay, so Greta shared a really good point from Azim, and pausing and acknowledging where is the first step to cultivate our well-being. Good point there. Vera, that's why I don't actively get up to date with the news, only the main highlights, and then I go about my day doing different activities in my daily routine. That helps me so far. Again, you guys feel free to share your points. I've got quite a few questions and I want to proceed with the session. Let me jump in, yeah? Let's go.
I would like to add something.
Sure, yeah.
So as we are talking about these threats, what the brain perceives as a threat and what all these reactions. Yeah. So I'm talking about the children and the youth, particularly at-risk youth, those that are socio-economically challenged. So cases of domestic violence and abuse tend to increase dramatically at this time, as each household are only confined into their own home. So when the pandemic hits, it's not just the threat of the virus that are considered as a threat, but you could also consider the dangers inside the household itself. So let me just emphasize that the abuse doesn't only come in form of physical or even sexual. It can also come in the form of psychological, making unreasonable demands, being overly critical at home, gaslighting as well, invalidating a person's feelings, And also it would be more so damaging in narcissistic parenting, which can develop anxiety, depression, and PTSD to someone who is overall healthy to begin with. Yeah. So yeah, that's my addition info.
Actually, I suppose that would be the answer to my next question, actually. So you were a bit ahead. So, but I think that's a really good point. So the question was, do you think that this pandemic plays a role in harming the youth's mental health? You shared quite a few keywords here. You talk about domestic violence, relating it also, there's also psychological violence as well. Again, some parents might also be, they might not realize it, but they might be narcissistic and thinking that they're always right. But again, communication plays a really important point here. Again, we shouldn't also gaslight any emotions or feelings, correct? So yeah, I want to quickly see, let's chime in on this one. Let's linger on this topic for a bit. So thinking about the youths, right? Do you think these negative impacts would have, again, on the long-term effect for the youths or the students? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it can have a long-term effects, like the children or the youth can be trapped to developing self-defeating thoughts and also have a warped self-perception, poor self-esteem and all that. Some can even feel unworthy of having a healthy relationships, love, and also life itself. And this can cost them, for some, I mean, based from my experience in handling children that are out of parental control, they can act out of parental control because of this. And lastly, the victims, in this case, the children, can also be the mental abuser themselves. So in a way, it's a cycle. Oftentimes, abuser have been abused and continue the cycle, but then sometimes unaware of the damage they cause to others. So you can imagine how it's being brought down from one generation of the young to the next and so on. If nothing is when nothing that is being done to make the situation of that particular family better.
Okay, great. That's a really good point. So again, some of the points I gathered here is that sometimes when you feel like this is untreated, you might feel unworthy. And again, it might become a bit of a cycle. It goes on and on. If it's not from you, it might be someone next, and we don't want to do that, all right? So really nice point there, Mizi. And I want to talk about something towards the professional level right now, right? So I think, Greta, you've been working a lot with the change makers, and Surah, please jump in for this after on this chat as well, yeah? So let's start with Greta. I think in the case for professionals, you've worked a lot with change makers, and again, change makers and startups, founders, right? They always have the mindset, everything has to be perfect. Again, men or women, it doesn't really matter in this case. Like, it's the mindset. When you're starting to work, you're always thinking, I gotta achieve this target. I have to be 100%. Actually, no, not even 100%, 110%. And the thing is, this might be a bit of issue. It might develop a few things such as anxiety, or maybe a sense of self-worthlessness sometimes. And yeah, perhaps what are your thoughts on this one? How do we shift our mindset from having to be always having that set of expectation to something that is much more manageable?
Thank you, Afiq, for this very important question, because right now there is this culture of the entrepreneur. It's so cool, you're like a superhero. Everyone wants to have their own startup and stuff, and it's great, right? I mean, there's such a huge need for people to be active and create. But at the same time, it can really create very toxic environment, which are not conducive to the well-being. And I think here I'm going to introduce one concept, which for me really shifted the expectations to be more accepting. Even when we talk about well-being or mental health, like just health, we think of the positive, right? Mental, like well-being means I am healthy, I am well, I am happy, I am strong, I am all these things, which is possible, but it's not always possible for me to be happy 100% of the time. It's not possible for me to be full of energy. There's also another side of the story, which is when I'm tired, when I'm upset, when I feel depressed, anxious. And we tend to kind of like put this to the side. And actually what we're trying to do at Recipes for Wellbeing is say, no, let's welcome it in and let's integrate it. So actually the concept we explore is the concept of whole being, where we have well-being, all the positive experiences, emotions, and thoughts, and the bad being. And this is all the negative, the painful situations. And we say, okay, what if we integrate both of them into a whole? Because we are a whole human being and we want to be able to experience the full range of human emotions. So I think I would love to see this in the startup, change-making culture even more, right? It's not just about like faking until you make it. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to say, listen, I don't have the answer. Listen, I need help. Because otherwise we're creating this kind of heropreneurship paradigm, which is not healthy. And I don't think that's how we're going to change the world. The world will not be changed by one person. It will change by a community of people coming together and working together. So maybe just an invitation to think about not just your well-being, but also your bad being and how to work with the two of them and integrate them into a whole.
Excellent point right there. I think that's a really, for me, it's a new component as well to learn about whole being, right? So all this while, we've always been thinking about well-being and well-being and well-being, and a lot of expectations, I would say, not just from society, I think sometimes the people around us as well, right? It kind of shape up us to become, we would assume it's resilience, but sometimes it's also that we start to shake a little bit, right? So let's hear it from Surah, actually. I want to hear it from Surah. What are your thoughts on this? I think just to lay it out, right? I think for the frontliners, my thoughts are that they're really doing a really good job, but sometimes they might be missing people, their families, and they might not have people who hear from them. So what are your thoughts on this, and how can we actually help people in the front lines?
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah. So Greta, you had a very, very good point about the whole being. And honestly, I was gonna share something very similar as well. So yeah, like you said, Greta, there's this whole like culture right now where it's like hustle and grind and rest is for the weak. But honestly, I'd prefer to rest for 1 week, and that's honestly even better. But yes, similarly to the whole being aspect is that, so if you think about stress, right? So stress, if you put it in a graph, it's like a bell curve. So it goes up and up, and once you reach the peak, you're at sort of your best performance. So this, like Afiq mentioned, is really good for athletes. Maybe in exams, this is when you're like, okay, I gotta study right now. But if you really push yourself too hard, your performance starts to drop with that increasing stress. So that's what we need to sort of realize, is that when you're pushing yourself too hard, you're just pushing yourself off the edge. It's just self-sabotage at this point. And that goes to the whole point of having an inner critic. This is very similar to the whole being idea, is that you have an inner critic, and this is really good sometimes, where you're like, okay, come on, you can try harder, you can do better. And we all need that sort of push and motivation, but sometimes the inner critic is just too much sometimes, and especially those who are really vulnerable and at risk of developing disorders. It gets too much where your inner critic becomes too harmful. So it's like, oh, you're hopeless right now, you can't even do anything. And this really makes someone really sort of miserable, and you're not motivated to do anything at that point when your inner critic is just too much. So what I think could help is that, especially with frontliners as well, because sometimes it feels like we're not doing our best, because we really are trying, we really are pushing, putting so many hours into our work, but then the pandemic doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon, and you're thinking, oh no, am I not doing good enough? But what we tend to forget to do is that we should also have with that inner critic a sort of kinder self in our head. So imagine that you're talking to a friend, or a friend is helping you out. So whenever a friend is reaching out to you, saying, "Oh, I'm really stressed out, I'm really burnt out," you won't tell that person, "No, you gotta work harder." Maybe you will, but then you want to be very nurturing, you want to be very comforting. So it's important to respect yourself and honor yourself, that you also deserve that nurture, you also deserve that comfort. And so with your hard work, you also deserve rest, you also deserve some self-care, which is really important with this pandemic, because it used to be office is work, home is rest. But now what happens when it's all blended? So creating that boundary and respecting that boundary, that, okay, I have working hours, that's work. But then I'm also at home and I also have things to do. I have to take care of myself, and I will honor that. I will respect that, and I'll follow that through. So yeah.
Very good points right there. Thank you very much, Surah. And I think it resonates very well with all of the speakers today. I see this a lot of activity in the chat box as well. So thank you very much, everybody. And of course, we love to hear from all of you. We're really feeling the a sense of I would say a sense of connectivity with all of you guys as well. We've been staying too long behind the screen, and of course, it's really nice to hear from someone. So I think Nap here shared a really nice point. That was a good point shared by Mansoura about being mindful of how we feel, feelings of anxiety versus potential symptoms of COVID-19. Difficulty in breathing, that's one of the symptoms, which relates to what was mentioned by Greta on listening to all this sad and unmotivating news on COVID-19, all right? Greta shared a really good formula as well. Well-being plus bad being equals whole being. Again, that's really nice to see. That's something that, again, we're also learning today, yeah? Your point, Surah, racist resistance, check out the NAP ministry if you haven't come across them. Check it out, guys. If you guys have the time, do browse through it. Danku Shazana also shared, that was such powerful insight mentioned by Miss Greta, the power of helping others as seen society's involvement now. Similarly, connect to psychological thought to be constructive and not destructive. Sometimes the destructive could come from even ourselves, we don't realize it. Azim shared really good point here, creating that boundary that is so challenging nowadays, especially with work from home. We're going to go into tips after this, but I think Greta, you want to share about Azim can share something quick if Afiq allows me. Okay, so I'll allow you, Greta. What do you want to share? Let's go for it.
It's super quick, and it's connected to what Surah was mentioning about boundaries. And I found it, again, I'm using a metaphor here. Imagine all the responsibilities and tasks that you have and divide them into two categories. One is called glass balls, and the other one will be rubber balls. And what is the difference between the glass balls and the rubber balls? Of course, all of them are important, but if you drop one of the glass balls and it touches the ground, it will shatter, it will break. So these are the responsibilities. You feel like, if I drop this, it's gonna hurt. And the rubber balls are still important, but if you drop that, what it will do is that it will bounce back. So I found that quite helpful to think about, okay, of all the things I have to do, which ones are the ones that if I drop them, it's gonna be a mess. And the other one's like, okay, it's not ideal, but still I will be able to live on and then pick them up later. I hope that that's helpful, Azim.
Thank you very much, Azim, for the question, and thank you very much, Greta, for sharing us that perspective and tip. Okay, so let's talk about tips right now, right? So we've been talking about awareness. Let's start finding out how and what can we do for the students, for the men, for the change makers, the startup founders, for the frontliners, everybody within our environment as well, family, friends. So let's talk about it first, right? Mizi, what? So I want to give a bit of insight. I know some of the things that we talked about before when we gotten introduced before was that you had some students who were very vocal and always like sitting in the back, and they're very talkative, right? Imagine that aspect. Suddenly, when you have, study from home, right? They don't work from home, they have study from home. They switch on their cameras and they suddenly shift a bit quiet. How do you keep the students engaged. That's one thing. And what are your best practices? Having that students might feel a bit, I would say a bit uncomfortable working, studying from home, Yeah. What are your best tips for this?
For me, the best tips for just to put things into context, I teach upper primary children. So those are in grades 5 and 6, around the ages of 10 to 12. So these children tend to have already a certain degree of ICT skills. So I'll just provide them with certain instructions, and they'll just go with the instruction. And what I do is make the assignment that I give them more like a game in a way. So yeah, they feel like it's fun more. And also I post their scores in the WhatsApp group that we share. So who gets number 1, who gets number 2. In a way, they're like competing against each other for who is the highest scorer. In a game way. I'm using websites like Kahoot, quizzes. So not only learning happens, but also they had fun with it. And most of them give a positive review. Even their parents, some of the parents themselves join in playing the games as well.
Cool. I think that's a really good point. Once the parents are joining, you've done a really good point right there already. Okay, so I see here we have gamifying, utilizing tools such as Kahoot or quizzes. I've also came across this really good tool. If you guys are conducting online meetings, it's called Mural, Mural. If you guys want to try it out, it's really good. And it's also collaborative, so it doesn't limit just for yourself to work on. It's not one single silo. You can work with your friends and your peers with that one. And I think it's really nice keeping WhatsApp group. It used to be very annoying, right? Too many notifications, too many groups. Now, okay, we gotta rely on that, and I think it's nice to keep everybody, posted on what are your progress. And I think it's also very useful to keep everybody in check. What are they doing? Are they responsive? And again, if they're very quiet, maybe it's time for you to check on your friends, right?
Yes. I would like to add something talking about that WhatsApp and also Instagram
Sure.
group. So with the students, I also create a separate Instagram account, which I post some educational stuff, educational videos in which they could follow up after the lesson. And also from that Instagram group, I also post stories to check on their well-being as well. Like, how are you feeling today? Just to check on my students, of course. Like if they're feeling good, they're feeling great today, anything they would like to share. But of course, this is laid out in such a way that is comprehensible for 10 to 12-year-olds. I mean, nothing complex. And yeah, talking about WhatsApp group, yes, there's a lot of WhatsApp group. One WhatsApp group for each classes that I teach. So I have to limit my interactions in terms of WhatsApp as well. I need to control them as well. So what I do was I create the WhatsApp group with students and also the parents as well, for them to monitor how each of their child learning progress going on. But at the same time, I also make it clear with the parents as well, like there's a certain time for them to study, and also there's a certain time for the students to take breaks as well. Because same with us adults, it's important for children to have some playtime as well, more so than us. So that's what I would like emphasis on the students. I mean, I don't give them a strict due date on assignments. I mean, you can submit it at the end of the day. You don't have to submit now. You can even submit it at the end of the week. I give them that flexibility as well, because some of the students acquire the assistance of their parents in learning as well. So I really understand that from an educator perspective. And
I have a very important question, Mizi.
yeah.
Are the exams still on?
That is subject to the government right now, but based on the trend, But based on what is announced way earlier, before there has been the rising cases, it has been postponed to a later date. But you didn't hear this from me. But there's a most probability that the exams like PSR most probably be cancelled, but taking account of the grades of the students from their classwork instead. So yeah.
I see it. It's a really good insight as well, because I think someone says, "Yay, Mizi." I understand that very well. So yeah, because I think, right, education makes you wonder, like, is it still going on? And again, when people say study or learning never stops, it is a truth.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think, like, there's also a set of expectations. You have to sit for papers and things like that, and that's becoming like the question: do we still have all of those things in place, right? So yeah, I think, thank you very much, Mizi, for giving a bit of that insight. Before I go and jump into another set of questions, and again, I want to remind everybody, share your points. Really nice points here. I see Azim is very active here. Thank you for sharing a lot of points. Right here, let me see. Okay. Azim said, I'm in a lot of WhatsApp groups since COVID. I am too as well. So I try to try to mute when I could, or just allocate my mind whenever I have the time as well. So yeah, whether we would have better notifications or not, right? Let me see here. Farouk Abdullah shared, for students with special needs such as autism may need extra help, and some parents don't really know how to help this the child, especially with online learning. This education gap between typically developing students and students with special needs creates stress for the child, teacher, and the parents. So I think perhaps Mizi can share a bit of points, and I think Surah as well, on the health perspective as well. And Greta, again, feel free to chime in and share one of your recipes. All right. So perhaps let's hear it from Surah. What are your thoughts on this? How can we, again, this is students with special needs, right? How can we help them? And I think parents as well, yeah.
Okay, so it was a question on children with special needs, right?
Correct,
okay,
yes.
So this isn't really my area of expertise, so I might not be the best person to answer this, since I don't really do online teaching or training or contact with special needs children or parents. So Mizi, do you have any students that might require extra
Yeah, I don't directly teach special needs, but based on what we have been doing as a school, what we did was have the teacher and also the child and also the parent as well. The parent needs to be there to assist the child with special needs. And the teacher will provide instructions in a way that is easy to follow for the parents. And also the parents at the same time in real life time. This is happening through Zoom in real life time. The parents will follow the instructions of the teacher and then slowly guide their child with special needs. So from there, it's a step-by-step process, instructions being relayed over by the special needs teacher to the parents. The parents play a crucial part in this learning for the special needs children.
I think that's a really good point. Again, having instructions, right, giving a bit of a step-by-step point is very important. And again, it's not just the parents. Sometimes it's even the siblings as well, right? They can help as well. So don't worry too much. Again, we're here to learn as well. And if anyone in the chat has any thoughts on this one and has something that you've also experienced with this, do share with us the point, and we can also learn, right? Okay, I want to proceed on to the next part. Okay, we are 1 hour in, and we will have one of our activity with Greta later on, but I want to run through a few more set of questions. So I'm going to be too long, guys, but don't worry too much. I hope to keep you guys entertained. So yeah, I think I think, Mizi, you shared quite a few points on how students can protect their mental health and what are the best practices they could try out, right? Some of it is that you suggested is gamifying and perhaps having WhatsApp groups to keep everyone engaged. Azim also has shared as well on that one, having WhatsApp groups, too many of them as well. So just to share with everybody, I think having WhatsApp group sometimes keeps you engaged, and sometimes you don't feel like replying. So for me, what I would normally do is that I will have a set of time and I would look at it. And when I'm having meetings, I would focus on the meetings. I would try not to look at my phone. For me, that's the best way I could do it. But again, feel free to suggest some things as well. I want to hear from Greta. I think what you're doing for Recipes for Wellbeing is a very great initiative. And you've been working on it for such a long time. And again, the mission doesn't stop, right? It's very much useful right now, and especially during this time as well. So I want to ask, how can we be part of that initiative?
Love that question. Thank you. Okay, so there's a few ways. I mean, first and foremost, as you kind of hinted, I've been sharing a few links in the chat, and that's because one of the main things that we have at Recipes for Wellbeing is almost imagine an online cookbook with all these recipes to foster individual, team well-being and around the different spectrums from mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, digital well-being. We have recipes for teams, for COVID-19, for across the gender spectrum. And these are freely accessible. And the link is here. So the first thing is, please just, check them out. They are all in English. Quite a few of them have been translated to French, German, Italian, Spanish. Really, they're free to use. They're over 170. So I just hope that this can be helpful in terms of sustaining your well-being. Also, though, one of the greatest things of working with Recipes for Wellbeing is that it doesn't have any boundaries. Wellbeing is something that transcends cultures and ages and experiences. And so if you have a particular well-being practice, be it for yourself as an individual or for a team, for young people, we've been talking about that, and you would like to share that with the world, please reach out to me. We've had so many people from all around the world contributing great well-being recipes. And this really allows us to expand our knowledge because, I can only learn so much or study so much. So if you want to get involved, please do that. Also, Azim mentioned this, quite a few people are struggling with the topic of digital well-being, and we're all addicted to our phones and devices. So if you feel like you would like to understand a little bit more, what is digital well-being? What does it mean? What can I do about it? A couple of years ago, we collaborated. So before the pandemic, we collaborated with Google to create a freely accessible online course on digital well-being, which is super easy. There's different experts involved. Again, I'm going to drop the link in the chat so you can check it out. And lastly, if you or your team need more well-being support, we organize workshops, retreats in person, online as well. So that's another way to boost the well-being at the individual or community level. So these are a few ways.
I really like it. I think having to think about the digital well-being is very important as well, because again, sometimes like I said just now, we've been spending too much time, whether you're, it used to be just on the professional level, we spend too much time on the screen, but now kids, right? Even kindergartens have to face the screen learning ABC. Think about that. It's very different than how things were back then for all of us, right? Imagine them singing behind the screen. So that's a bit entertaining right there. And of course, very cute. So I want to highlight one really good point as well. So I know during the pandemic, some people take up activities and hobbies, right? Even for myself, I started working out again and I'm like, okay, this is a really good point. I'm going to spend my time. And I didn't realize, I'm like, okay, it's taking too much time, the pandemic. But it benefits me in terms of health, right? But I think something to share as well for any of you guys, if you guys feel that, okay, I'm spending too much time on screen, take up a hobby. I think getting yourself away from the screen is very useful as well. Perhaps having a small family barbecue or just between you and your family members, I think that's really nice. A game night would be really fun as well, just for you and your family and friends. I think friends will be a bit tough right now, but quite a few games you could do that as well. Okay, I want to run through quickly the some of the comments on the chat. This is very fun and interesting. Okay, so Ashikin said, I ghost everyone on WhatsApp group unless my name is mentioned within the conversation. Yes, I think the @ works really well here. So that's really good stuff right there. Azim, during my working hours or when I try to spend a quality time with my family or partner, I would keep my phone in the cabinet. Whew. But not gonna lie, it can sometimes be a challenge though. Yeah, it's tough. I think sometimes when it rings or vibrates, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? You know, and sometimes in your mind, you'd feel that, okay, what is in, you know, who's texting me? Who's texting me? Sometimes we have that, right? Let me browse through. Nazatul shared really good point. Thank you for the very important point, Farouk. Neurodivergent children are very sensitive to others' emotions, even if they don't look like they're paying attention or observing much. The cause and effect are not usually very clear for them, so sometimes their behavior might be looked at as bad or disruptive behavior, but it might be rooted for anxiety. That is all to say that parents or caretakers must also protect, improve their own mental health so they can better take care of their kids. So also make sure kids are understanding what's happening around them. This can be done through social stories, visual cues. Quite a few things here. One last note that I want to share before I proceed to the next part is that Farouk, what I found effective is creating a physical schedule or timetable for ourselves where there is a set time to work, reply to message, online meeting, online learning, and a set time for our own downtime, not reply to any work messages and digital detox, put away your screens. One thing I learned though, I remember this when I was in San Diego back in 2018, very interesting part. As you know, the startup scene in America is very vibrant. If you're talking about like, I know the startup scene is just so crazy. That's just the word I want to say. It's very engaging and dynamic. But I remember one of the founders, he said, you know what? We don't plan, he said it this way. You should plan your leaves. You should plan your rest next time. He said, all of the startups always plan to work and work and work. But when was the last time you planned to rest? So for me, I think that's the one thing that should be a takeaway as well for all of you here, right? So something to take note. Okay, I want to give this opportunity to anyone to open up their screens and have an audio as well. If you guys have any question, just pop it up right now. I think we'd love to hear it from all of you. Okay, so enough from all four of us. Let's hear it from you guys. Any questions? Anyone open to share or just give us a question? No one? Not yet? Sorry. Okay, don't worry too much about it. I still have quite a few questions right here as well. Let me see. Okay. All right. So, okay, I think one person was shy. Okay, I think there was quite a few comments here. Izudin, I feel the demands of online learning or work are making us online fatigue. Yes, that's true. It is imperative for us to communicate with children on this new norm and how to cope. It happens so suddenly that sometimes we don't manage to keep up. That's very true. Again, it's not just for the students, right? Sometimes it's even in the working field, we also have to keep learning. We don't engage with people, but how do we learn? Our way of learning evolves and changes over time. Okay, so now let's go into the interesting part right here. We have quite a few time, and I think, Greta, I want to give this opportunity actually to you to lay it out. Yeah, what is the activity that we could do together on this one?
Yeah, thank you. I just thought we could do a very brief meditation around the natural elements, because also one of the things that we've been missing so much from working online is access to nature. And nature is a great healer, is a great source of wisdom, and actually can really boost our well-being. And even online, it can help us. So I thought we could give it a try to just also ground ourselves. So for this, don't worry, don't have to be expert meditators. I'm gonna guide you through it. Feel free to keep the video on, turn it off. So don't you worry about it. I will turn mine off so you don't get distracted by my face, because you just need to be able to hear my voice. So for this 5 elements meditation, I invite you first and foremost to take a comfortable seat. So maybe adjust your position. Make sure that your feet are both flat on the ground. So if your legs were crossed, please uncross them for the next few minutes. Just stretch your back maybe a little so that you can lengthen it. You want to have it relaxed, but stay straight. And you can rest your hands on your lap or your legs. And if it feels comfortable for you right now, you can close your eyes. If this doesn't feel right for you, you can just lower your gaze and soften it so you don't get distracted. And we're going through the different elements of nature and breathe in a particular way, and I'll guide you through it. So we will start with the earth element. And for the earth breath, I would like you to breathe in through the nose and out also through the nose. So you're breathing in and out through the nose, visualizing the color gold. Connecting to the element of earth, visualizing the color gold. And now we move to the second element of water. And for the water breath, I would like you to breathe in through the nose, but you breathe out through the mouth. So we're changing a little bit. You breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. This time visualizing the color green. Feeling the flow of water in your breath, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Visualizing green. And now we move to the third element of fire. And for the fire breath, I would like you to breathe in through the mouth and out through the nose. This time visualizing the color red. So we're bringing fire to our breath, breathing in through the mouth and out through the nose, visualizing red. Now we move to the fourth element of air. And for the air breath, I will ask you to breathe in through the mouth and out also through the mouth. So you're just breathing in and out through your mouth, visualizing the color blue. Feeling your lungs filling and emptying of air. Breathing in and out through the mouth. And last, we move to the fifth element, or ether. And I will ask you now to breathe in and out through the nose. But it is a little bit different from the earth breath, because here it is a more refined, more subtle, more gentle breath. And you can visualize the color gray, or perhaps you can also imagine transparency. You're breathing in and out through the nose. Very refined, very subtle for the fifth element. And when you're ready, you can return to your natural breath, feeling in yourself the balance and integration of all the elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And recognize that you're embodying all the bigger cosmos, all the elements of nature that are contained in you. And whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes or lift up your gaze, maybe have a quick stretch. Maybe you had a micro nap, that's also okay. And I'm curious to find out, actually, I will ask you to maybe drop in the chat, which element do you feel best represents your mood, the quality of your body, of your mind? Just drop in the chat. Which of the 5 elements? I'm curious to see what we have in the group. Wow, I see lots of water, actually. You have a bit of everything. I think I haven't seen earth yet. Let's see, does anyone feel like earth? Very grounded. Oh, okay, water and air are definitely the top 2. If any of you wants to repeat this, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. This is, again, super simple, but I find it super great to just remind ourselves that we're not just part of nature, we are nature. We have all these natural elements within us, and it can really help us to boost our well-being. So that's my little gift for you. And over to you, Afiq.
All right, thank you very much, Greta. And I think that is very, very useful and something for us to feel a bit relaxed and I think keeping back our posture, right? I think I just want to quickly browse through. I think quite a few, just 2 questions that I missed out. So we talk about youth and their well-being, right? How can youth or people in general, what can employees do to help with their employees, and what can people do to help older people and their parents? So this will be the last question for today. And again, I want to open it up to anybody, Greta, Mizi, or Surah. And yeah, we're going to close the session after this. All right. So how can we help the people around us? I think with simple things like these. And yeah, perhaps let's start with Surah this time.
All right, thank you, Afiq. So now we're sort of a partial lockdown and isolation. I think it's more important than ever to connect because we really take things for granted before this. And now with a sudden sort of isolation for everyone, it's easy to just sort of hide alone in your room and just, do your own thing. But I think this is the most important time to sort of connect with others. And you don't have to sort of FaceTime everyone every single day and, bombard them with texts, but sort of a check-in once in a while. So for me, I think when checking up on someone, there's sort of 3 basic things that I like to take note of is asking, how's your sleep? Because sleep is very, very important. I need my sleep. If not, my whole mood just changes. And this applies to everyone. Your sleep changes your mood, your sleep changes your behavior, your thoughts. So checking in on others and asking, have you been getting enough sleep? What time are you sleeping? Isn't it a bit too late? Don't you want to go have some rest now? Do you need to take a nap? And then there's appetite. So have you eaten your lunch? Do you do you need a snack or anything? Can I deliver food to your house? So just sort of acts of kindness to make sure they're eating well, because just like the Greta's word of recipes for well-being, food is fuel. We need food, and I think it's easy when you're working from home, or even for frontliners or busy working, we often forget to feed ourselves and just give us that energy. And of course, the last one is sort of activity. So if they're working from home or if they're learning, okay, are they doing it consistently? Is there anything that they might be sort of having trouble with? And when I say activity, it's not just things like work, but hobbies as well. So let's say if I used to like painting, but then suddenly I kind of just don't like to paint anymore. So that kind of adds a bit of concern, you know? So maybe there's something going on in their life that makes them lose interest in sort of what they used to love. So I think checking up on, okay, have you gotten enough sleep? Have you eaten? Or, hey, you haven't done this in a while, or yeah, just checking in on others' activities. I mean, I know that sounds like busybody, but it's sort of like, oh, have you tried this hobby? Or is work going okay for you? Have you been consistent in your sort of coping at home? I think that's a really good way to connect to someone and just making sure that they're okay.
Awesome, really good points there, Surah. And I think that's something that I also have been thinking about as well. So because sometimes when you just live on your own, or sometimes you just like tend to focus on too much on one thing, you forget the people around you, and it's always nice to keep check in with them as well. All right, so thank you very much for that. Let's hear it from Mizi. What are your final takeaways for this?
I suppose mine would be more towards those that are still growing, really young, teenagers. Any parents around here for your little young ones? So for those that are still growing, I say prioritize your physical and emotional well-being first. And that means continue to be active, exercise, eating a well-balanced meal, get in touch with your loved ones in your immediate surroundings, and also your friends. Continue to talk, video call, joke around, send memes, maintain that contact and support to each other. For students, I mean, if you are concerned with your studies, if you have and also have the means to keep up with your learning, just do them in your scheduled time. Continue to participate in online class, keep in touch with your teachers, professors as well. Ask them questions for any doubts in the topic. And it's perfectly okay if you do not get that lesson immediately online. As an educator, I really understand that. And it's not the students' fault for not being able to understand as quickly as they should compared to face-to-face learning, nor should be the teachers as well. So this is something that is happening in all of us, as both students and teachers alike, learning to adapt to the situation. Yeah, for the more underprivileged students, I'd say focus more on taking care of yourself first, because your schoolwork, I know I'm a teacher, but your schoolwork can wait, honestly, since you can always catch up to your learning once everything goes back to normal. But the lost time you had, your chance to be physically and emotionally healthy may never be taken back. I mean, lack of physical activities can lead to sedentary lifestyle, which can lead to obesity, and lack of emotional support again can lead to unstable emotions, more prone to emotional outbursts. And these are not something that is easy to work on as time goes on. So yes, as a teacher, I approve schoolwork can wait.
I read one of the comments which all my teachers were like, you Mizi, I support that. Really well said. Okay, so let's have it from Greta. I think give 1 point for all of us, whether we're a frontline, an entrepreneur, a father, a mother, a son, a daughter, a family member, a student, a teacher, a corporate worker, anybody. Give one. Yeah, I think I'm giving a really high expectation here, but yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Just give us one.
Actually, I'm going to, in a way, circle back and close the loop and go back to something that Surah said at the very beginning when she mentioned about the inner critic. And I think it was one thing that each of us can do for ourselves, but also invite others, whoever they are around us, is to practice self-compassion. Let's cut ourselves some slack. We're living in a pretty intense historical time. There's so much going on. Let's just, make sure we can really nurture our self-compassion and expand it outwards to anyone we meet, whether they are family, friends, strangers, people very far away from us. And with this, just one last link, in case you don't know how to, cultivate compassion, we have a recipe to nurture your compassion roots. So I hope that's helpful.
Thank you very much, Greta. And I think if your recipes were physical, I think I would have been a really good chef. That's a 5-star recipe right there. Gordon Ramsay would have been so proud. Anyways, jokes aside, I want to say thank you very much to everybody. And I think there's one comment from Billy from the US Embassy of Brunei. He says, great speakers, and thank you for sharing your thoughts, everybody. And thank you to all participants for your great questions and feedback and comments. If you guys are posting anything, just encourage to tag US Embassy BSB on IG story. And of course, you guys can follow us on social media as well. At YSEALI Sharing A Vision, SAV. You guys can check it out. It's right there. Again, there's also, if you guys want to learn more about opportunities such as small grants, exchange programs, education at USA, check it out at the bn.usembassy.gov website. There's also a WhatsApp group that they shared, and there's the link right there as well. I think we've got quite a few links here. So again, stay tuned, guys. If you guys want to just get some of the links, just browse it through the app and browse it through the chat, and don't leave yet. Yeah, there is one last thing I need to announce. The call for applications for YSEALI Professional Fellowship, just like the one that I did in San Diego, will be announced soon too. And that's in the end of October to November. It was really interesting, guys. Really fun stuff that I learned back in US. And again, you guys can also do it too. But with that, oh yeah, there's one last comment here. I feel bad Afiq has to read our long messages, but he does it so well. Thank you very much, Nazatul. And yeah, it took a bit of time, but I think this is really fun and interesting. Thank you very much, everybody, for sharing your time and giving us again your insights. I want to give this one last opportunity, I think, to my colleague Azim to take one last shot in case some of you guys came a bit late just now. We can also do this shot and just share it to you guys via email later on. All right. So if I can allow everybody to open up your video, and let's do one last photo op, and yeah, we can end the session.
All right. Hey guys, is everyone ready?
If you guys are ready, give a thumbs up on I think on the video.
Give a few more seconds for everyone to get on. Don't worry, you don't need to be super pretty for this.
Okay.
Just pretty for yourself. That's more than enough. All right. Is everyone on? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. One more time. One big smile. Happy smiles. Thumbs up. 1, 2, 3. All right. Amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, everybody. And of course, I do hope you guys are safe. And don't forget, someone says, don't forget to sanitize. Hashtag jangan lupa bahagia. Bahagia means happiness and feeling easiness. Just to share with you, Greta, a bit of a local context there. And yeah, thank you, everybody. We'll be staying on just for a bit. If you guys want to just get all the links and everything, don't worry too much. All right. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and hope you guys have a really good day ahead. Thank you, and see you guys again.